Hello all you wonderful, beautiful, and craptastic people. CraptasticJack here. Today we're going to be talking about Ivory Tower. Now I've talked a lot about the Crew 2 in the past and I've talked about the very, very stupid decisions behind Ivory Tower, but I've never actually talked about Ivory Tower themselves and why I feel that Ivory Tower is just going down the shitter. So without further interruptions, let us begin. The Ivory Tower of the Crew 1 is dead. It's a far cry to the Ivory Tower of the Crew 2. I remember the Ivory Tower of the Crew 1 was probably the most receptive game developers, arcade racing game developers out of like the big three, that being Playground Games, Turn 10, and Need for Speed with Ghost. I felt like they were the most receptive, and they always tried to give us a lot of fan-driven content. Hell, I feel like the Crew 1, by the end of its life cycle, was a very fan-driven game by the end of it. And they gave us two major expansions, Calling All Units and Wild Run, and while Calling All Units wasn't really the best, both of those expansions, you can really tell they were built around fan feedback. They really didn't, they tried to go beyond the Call of Duty when giving us a lot of fan-driven feedback, and even when they failed or fell short, we still understood that, okay, but they're still trying to give us what they want. Nothing they really did seemed to be out of vein. When you actually gave a suggestion to them, you actually felt like your suggestion was being listened to. And then a few months down the road, you might even see that suggestion being implemented into the game. So back then, Ivory Tower was a little bit different. It was headed by Julian Geraghty, who you may now know as the creative lead, I believe, over working on The Division. And the way he turned around The Division makes me really kind of wish he was still at Ivory Tower. But again, best of luck to him. He's doing an amazing job over at The Division. And if you look at The Division now, The Division, especially The Division 2, is a very fan-driven game. So, and you can kind of tell why, I'm guessing. Because I guess with Ivory Tower during the Crew 1 era, they had some really good management. However, now things are a little bit different. The Crew 2 now is headed by Fergus, and obviously this game, unlike the Crew 1, was built more around the will of the developers and not the community. Many fan-requested features are still not in the game a year and a half after release, while useless content is pushed out like Demolition Derby and hovercrafts, stuff that I bet the majority of the community never wanted. No one asked for hovercrafts. Hell, I don't remember anyone in the Crew 1 requesting planes and boats. If the Crew 2 was a truly fan-requested game, if the game was that shit wouldn't have been in the game. It would have just been a continuation of the Summit. It would have been a continuation of the PvP, the great PvP that was in the Crew 1. It would have been a continuation of the Cops and Robbers-esque, story. But, unfortunately, that's not what we got. And you can kind of tell that this game is, again, built around the will of the developers and not the community. Hell, it's been stated before that this game is the dream, it's like Fergus's dream game. And again, there's nothing wrong with a passion project. Passion projects have made some of the best games ever created. But there comes a problem when your passion project, and when you just continue focus on your passion project and it's subverting the will of the community. And the community's wants and wishes go against what your dream is, then there inherits a problem, and you got to start listening to the community that first off make the game, make you able to even be able to pursue your passion project. You really need to start listening to them and make some changes. Now I get it could be hard to make a lot of changes to your game that you feel is perfect, but at the same time it's necessary if you want to keep those people coming back, and unfortunately that's not what they're doing with the Crew 2, and that's why the Crew 2 is dead. Now they keep perpetuating that, oh, the Crew 2, yeah, it's the best it's ever been, the biggest community ever, and it's easy to pat your stats when the game's been on sale, for most of the time it's been post-launch, the game's been on sale, and they've given it away for free a couple times. So it's very easy to pat your stats and make it look like your game is doing a lot better than it actually is, than it seems. I honestly doubt that the active player base is bigger than it was at launch. Let's face it, it's not. People are just not going to start giving a shit about your game a year later, especially if you just don't release any content. The last major update we had was in April, and I doubt we're going to be getting another major update till later this year. I have a feeling they're going to do a massive expansion, or massive. I'm sorry, I'm still thinking about Ivory Tower from the Crew 1, where their expansions actually were massive. Ivory Tower in the Crew 2 is the gift that keeps on coming back when it comes to continually subverting my expectations, because that's all they've done within the Crew 2. And a lot of this inherits a problem. Now I'm going to use my main gripe with the game. No police. Now this is my main gripe with the game. If you take a recent poll, and by recent I mean like a couple months ago, of a survey of what people wanted from the Crew 2 community, led by a guy who is in their fucking inner circle, by the way. So this makes it even kind of more like a, hey, wake up, a lot of people want this. You see that 60% of people who were polled want to see cops return to the game. And Ivory Tower knows this. So why they don't have a race editor nor confirmation of cops coming soon. Like, they know that people want those two things, but unfortunately, it goes against their vision for the game. So fuck everybody who actually wants that shit in their game. You can't have it because it doesn't fit the theme. And this is the main problem with Ivory Tower. The Ivory Tower of freaking the Crew 1 would have never done this. If they saw that a large percentage of the community wanted something, they would have added it in. Or like at least attempted to add it in, because Ivory Tower was never always successful back then, and yeah. But still, the Ivory Tower of the Crew 1 era would have never done that. They would have never just subverted the will of the community like that. And they just snubbed like a large percentage of the community who actually wants this stuff in their game. And it's not like we're asking for like some out there type of content. We're not asking for fucking spaceships or aliens or some stupid dinosaur shit like that. Now, I bet you for a fact that Ivory Tower, knowing Ivory Tower, they'd probably add spaceships and fucking UFOs before they ever add cops. And that's just sad. So, but going back on topic, you see that a large percentage of the community wants those things, and Ivory Tower just not giving them to them. That's pretty much a big fuck you to the community. That basically says to me that we don't care that you want this. It doesn't fit our theme, so we're not going to do it. Your opinions are worthless. That's what it says to me. And to add on to that, Ivory Tower, you can really see who they listen to and who they don't listen to. They may have 3 community people going out and getting information. I bet they do an amazing job. But their communication is so awful, you can tell that they don't even look at half the shit that the community says. The community people may grab all the information and send it to Ivory Tower, but Ivory Tower, obviously, it just goes in one ear out the other. The people they listen to are in their pit crew, which is basically a bunch of community members who just get to see their shit early and give feedback on it. But you can tell 99.9% of the time they're just sucking their dicks and saying, oh yeah, this looks perfect, this looks good. Oh. So, and you can tell that they're getting fucking rewarded for their loyalty. It's like a fucking mob. They get respect for their loyalty, and then they get special things like being able to create their own playlist for PvP and being in their community spotlight. So you can tell that they're being rewarded. If you're rewarding those type of people like that, you can tell that they're not gonna be very constructive with their feedback. They're just gonna be yes men in a sense. And that's why I call them that, because that's literally what they are. And you can tell that Ivory Tower does not give 2 fucks about anybody else criticizing the game, because they're in their own literal Ivory Tower now, where all the criticism that doesn't align with their vision for the game is worthless to them. And that is just sad. So to reiterate, my main problem with Ivory Tower now is they just straight up don't listen to the community. And it's sad coming from, it's like the reversal of Playground Games. Playground Games used to just not listen to the community, do whatever the fuck they wanted. And same with Turn 10. But then they got to kick up the ass with Forza 7, and then all of a sudden with Forza Horizon 4 and Forza 7, a lot of community-driven feedback is being added to the game, and they did like a 180 because they had to kick up the ass. And I feel like that's what Ivory Tower needs. And I thought their kick up with the ass would be with the Crew 2 failing at launch. But somehow, I don't know how they're still getting away with it. I don't know how Ubisoft's not going up to them like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Like, the Crew 2 sold like dog shit at launch. I think it sold like less than 300,000 a week in the first week. So and the game's constantly been on sale, so I don't know how they're still managing by not listening to the community. Oh yeah, they added the Summit and they added PvP. Both are worse than they were in the Crew 1. And it took them 6 extra months to make add PvP to the game, and also took them nearly a year to add the summit. Yeah, and you can tell that they're still prioritizing the stuff they want to add. For example, the hovercrafts. For example, Demolition Derby. What should have came first instead of those things? PvP in the summit, because people wanted that. People don't want. You can tell people didn't want the hovercrafts. People enjoyed the Demolition Derby, but nobody asked for that. Ivory Tower needs to start prioritizing stuff that the community wants, or else they're not gonna have a fan base for the Crew 3, and that's that. The Crew 3, they really need to start. The Crew 3 needs to be built like the Crew 1, built around fan feedback, not on the developer's will, but on what the will of the community is. And that's why I really kind of hope, and I'm gonna make another video on this, why they just kind of end production of the Crew 2. Like, just add a couple more summits in, keep updating the summits every once in a while, add some game breaking flaws, fix those, but focus your development on the Crew 3, because next gen is on the horizon, and when next gen arrives, no one's gonna give 2 fucks about the Crew 2. That's all I have to say for now. Have a good one, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see some more craptastic content, be sure to subscribe and hit the little bell icon so you don't ever miss an upload. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitch and join my Discord to be able to chat with me and some others. That's all for now, guys. Have a good one.